Hey guys, this is Iggy back again with Dragon Blogger. So today I'm going to teach you how to build a computer inside of the Anidees AI Crystal Case. Alright, so this guy, beautiful and glass on both sides and in the front. So you're going to be able to see the entire build, plus the lights that it does bring, the 4 fans that it does bring are lit. They're white. So you're definitely going to be able to see, because this glass seems to be a little tinted and it is tempered, so don't worry, it won't break easily. Alright, inside of this build I'm going to have the EVGA X99 classified board with the Intel 5930K Core i7 processor, the HyperX DDR4 Predator RAM, the Sapphire R9 390 8GB Nitro card, with the Arctic Freezer 240 liquid cooling unit, HyperX SSD, Patriot Ignite SSD, and a Samsung Evo 850 SSD, along with the Cooler Master Silent Pro Gold 1200 watt power supply. Yes, before you say anything, it is overkill, but I'm safe for the future. I've been using it for 10 years. It's good. Anyways, aside from that, I'm going to show you guys how to build it. I'm going to show you guys how to cable it. Hopefully I can help you guys out that don't know how to build it. And for those of you that do know how to build it, maybe I might give you a few tips. Anyway, let's get started. Before we put anything in the computer, I always like to put the processor in its slot. I like to put the RAM in its spot. And then I like to put the liquid cooling in its spot. So first off, we have the Intel Core i7 5930K processor. And then of course we have the EVGA X99 classified board. Alright, so first thing we're going to need to do is the X99. This is a big processor. Alright, the X99 chipset, or should I say the socket for the 2011 V3 processor, and well, for a few of the older ones as well for the workstation class, the way the processors are held in is they're kind of clamped down. So we need to open this clamp up. So first off, what we're going to do is push this little lever down and to the right, and then you see how that lever pops up. And then we're also going to push down this lever over here and move it to the left and lift up. Alright, so what that does is, you can see right here, that raises that little lever, which allows me to pull this back and then slide this back. Alright, so now it is perfectly open so that we can install a processor. Okay, do not touch these pins. If any single pin is bent, it won't make contact down here, which means your computer won't work. Another thing about bending those pins is, if you bend them, you have a paperweight. EVGA or any motherboard manufacturer will not take the board back with a bent pin. First off, to start, you're going to notice right along here, 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 and here, there's little notches or grooves. They align with the notches here, 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 and here. Alright, so, and that's how you're going to sit your processor. Alright, and when you're done, just go ahead, pop it in. You don't push it in, you just drop it in. Maybe move it a little up and down just to make sure it's properly seated. And now all we do is slide this down. Now we're going to put everything in the opposite direction. So this little guy has this that holds this lip down. Okay, so see how that held it down? Show you again. Okay, I push it down, push it towards the left, and there we go. It clamps into a little guy right over here. Now this guy, all we do is push down, push to the right, push down again, and slide a little to the left. Now that bar is held in place. That's it. You've installed the processor. So now let's go ahead and install the RAM. That I'm using is the HyperX Predator model number HX430C15PB2K4-16. So 16 gig kit. I have over here 3 more sticks. Alright, and the way you install DDR4 is to keep it in quad channel, you install it in slot 1, slot 3, slot 7, and then slot 5. Now mind you, if you have 8 sticks of RAM on this board, you'll just install it in all the slots. Don't worry about that. You want to make sure that you buy all the memory together. If you buy, even though let's say you bought these 2 sticks on Tuesday, you bought these 2 sticks on Wednesday, there is a high probability they're going to come from a different date and lot code, which means the ICs under them may be different. They could be Samsung, they could be Hynix, they could be anything, you know. So you want to make sure that you keep all 4 or all 2, all 4, and all 8 sticks the same. That way it's easier for you to overclock and you have more stability. Alright, so anyway, let's get started installing the RAM. First off, I'm going to go ahead, open up slot 1. Just going to pull these little guys out. Okay, these little guys keep your RAM locked in place. So if you look at the RAM itself, okay, you'll notice there's a little notch, and I'll put my hand back there so you can see it. There's a notch here and there's a notch here. This little guy over here fits into that notch. Another thing you want to notice, or you want to pay attention to, is this little notch right down here. Alright, you'll notice there's a little notch inside of each of these DIMMs. Now, this side slides in differently than this side, so you'll notice the slots are here, and up here the slots are up here. So I'll show you that in a second. So first you're going to want to install, make sure, and I'm just going to show you for example, make sure the slots match up. If not, if you slide it in just like this, your RAM's not going to fit. Now you just have a seesaw. And then this little guy over here and this little guy over here can't lock. So if I just flip this around, and now that it's in, just push down, you'll notice this snapped in and that guy snapped in. So what I'm going to do, just so that I can show you 2 examples, is I'm going to install it on slot 3 first. Actually, I'll install it in slot 5, in slot 7, then slot 3, and then slot 1 in reverse, but still the same. Now, I'll just move it down. Now, to remove the RAM, you can just push and hold outward, push outwards. Don't push too hard, you'll break them. Okay? So now it's going to go here, but we're going to have the same problem because the notch is not in the same side. So we're going to want to turn it around for this side. Alright, so I'm going to pull this out, and then this one, and then this one. Okay? So now, did I put it in right? I sure did. Okay. So push down, there we go, in place. Push down. Perfect. Okay. Really quick and easy, right? You just need to learn how to do it, and then afterwards, installing it is a breeze. You can help your friends and family with it, or you could charge them through the nose. Up to you. Alright. There you go. Ah, I almost installed it wrong. You always got to pay attention. Alright, and there we go. Now, you've just installed 16 gigs of RAM. You could have installed 32 gigs, 64 gigs, 128 gigs. Either which way, now you know how to install RAM. Alright, so now let's get the liquid cooling on here. So now we have over here the Arctic 240 millimeter liquid cooling unit. Alright, here is the piece that's going to make contact with the CPU. Don't touch it. The grease from your fingertips just won't allow it to cool properly. Alright, for thermal paste, I'm going to be using Cryonaut Thermal Grizzly. It's been amazing thermal paste. Been using it for some time. You'll find a link for it under the video itself. So now they include here a spatula so that you can just wipe it down. I don't like to use the spatula. If you want to use it, you can, but I won't. Okay, so the way I do it is simply apply a dot right in the center, about the size of a pea, a little bit smaller of course. Alright, that's all you're going to need. That one little dot. Alright, so some of you are flipping out, but what about the rest of the processor? Alright, so when this gets pushed down here, that thermal paste spreads to the entire processor. Actually, I'm going to put a tiny bit more. Okay, just a little bit more. Alright, so there we're good there. Alright, so now since this is a socket 2011 V3, we need to install these guys right here, 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 and here. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead. You can do this by hand. And you don't want to overly tighten it. All right. That's it, we're done there. So now we're going to want to use these guys here. Okay, but in order to use that, we just have to push down this liquid cooling unit. Okay, so normally the way I install it is like that with the Arctic upside down. It does bug me that it's upside down and the tubes seem a little more twisted than they should, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it and we'll see how that comes out. So to put it in, you'll find a little hole here, 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 and here. So all we do is just lightly put it down. And that's it. It's installed. Now we just grab these little guys. Now we screw them down by hand first. But notice they have a little Phillips head here. Okay, so now just screw down all four by hand. Don't overly tighten them, just tighten them enough so that everything sticks. If you overly tighten them too, it makes it harder to put the other ones in. And now we use a screwdriver. Alright, so we just screw them in. Remember, don't screw in one side all the way yet. It'll make everything uneven and that much harder to put in properly. and you want that thermal paste to spread evenly. Alright, and that's it. So now we have pretty much everything on the board. Obviously we don't have the video card, or if you have an external sound card or an external PCI-E, but we have this on there right now. Now we can go ahead and start installing inside of the case. We're going to want to install the I/O shield. I/O shield is what keeps all your USB ports and all your audio ports and all your Ethernet ports tucked nice behind the case. This also allows for all those ports to come out through here, and then also allows for positive or negative airflow, however you choose to use your fans. Alright, so to do that, we'll just tuck it in here, push it in. Alright. So now we have the I/O shield in place. Now we're going to want to check all the hole placement for the motherboard. So we see we have one here, here, and here, perfect for ATX or eATX. Here, 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 also perfect for ATX or eATX. Now this particular board needs one right here as well. So now we're just going to grab one of the standoffs. Alright, and we're going to want to use these. Okay. It's going to be one of these guys. Okay, you can see that here. Okay, now this particular case does not bring a standoff screw. Alright, I'm going to link it in the review below and also in the written review so that you can get one of these. These are so handy. Alright, and now we just screw it in place. Now if you don't have a standoff screwdriver, you can still get it in there. You'll probably need needle nose pliers or something along those lines, but either which way it'll work fine. And now we're going to install the motherboard itself. Okay, just remember, we have the liquid cooling unit already attached. We'll just hang it off the side here. It'll be fine. Now we're going to want to make sure that we slide the board into the I/O shield. Alright, perfect. So now we're going to use the motherboard screws that they supplied, these guys right here, to screw in the motherboard. Now, just make sure you counted there was 10 motherboard standoffs. Again, these guys right here. Now, if when you're screwing in, you don't put down 10 of these screws, or you have an extra hole in the motherboard, you want to make sure you take the motherboard out and put that standoff where it belongs. Or if there's 10 standoffs or 9 standoffs and your motherboard only has 8 holes, make sure you remove that extra standoff. If not, it could potentially short out your board, and you don't want to kill your brand new system. Now this is where it comes in handy to have a magnetized screwdriver. Alright, I'm not going to screw it in all the way just yet. I want to make sure that I can easily access every single screw hole. I'm only screwing them in very, very loosely, just so that I can make sure I get every single hole, in case I need to move the board a little tiny bit. Now I do see that it might be a little challenging later on. Actually, I see for this particular board it might be very challenging because the extra PCI-E connector there and there, the 8-pin should I say, for this guy over here to provide power to the PCI-E slots, and for the USB 3.0, they're blocked off. Now, you can remove the power supply housing, but you need to remove all the rivets. You can see here how that's going to be a problem. That's where I would plug in my USB 3 header. Here is where I plug in my front panel headers, like my reset, HD, LED, power button. And then here's where I plug in some more headers. So rather than trying to figure out some kind of way to line them across here to make them look nice, I figured to mod it a little tiny bit. So what I'm going to end up doing is actually cutting some of this steel, alright? And with that, so that I don't cut my fingers or anything later on, I'm going to be putting this door edge guard. So I'll just slide it in between there, you can see there. And that way it'll keep the cables and my fingers from getting cut. So what I'm going to end up doing is drawing a line